I got a couple questions for you.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
want to turn the tables a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it, man. All right, everybody. Well, welcome back to another episode of Checkered Roots. Thank you for joining us wherever you might be. We certainly do appreciate it. Just a quick announcement. We have a few days left in the sale that we are running on blackdirtracingco.com. I guess I shouldn't call it a sale. It's more of a discount code. But as a reward or as a thank you for, following the social media stuff or watching Checkered Roots or, just kind of following all of my journey, I did throw a discount code up there. Code is BlackDirt10, the number 10. So if you enter that in at checkout, it will give you 10% off your whole order. So make sure to go pick yourself up something. This year, personally, that we're wearing is the BDRC Stars and Stripes Wheat Penny shirt. I love how these are turning out so far. People seem to be happy with them. Good quality shirt, so make sure to check those out. Tonight, we are going to talk to a modified racer, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't believe we have talked to anybody in IMCA mods yet, so looking forward to getting into this conversation, hearing a different perspective on things. So without further ado, let's get him in here, Mr. Zack, Olivia. And sir, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How you doing, bud?
Doing good, brother. Doing good. I'm still, honest to God, I'm still riding a high from being able to drive a car for the first time here last weekend. So I am on cloud nine and probably will continue to be on cloud nine for the foreseeable future here. And it's kind of everything's picking up steam. We bought an engine, big step. It's in pieces now. It literally came in boxes. So we bought an engine, and then I actually today purchased a full roller. So things are coming in, and I am just riding the high, as they say.
Well, man, I can only tell you the first time I drove a car, it was unbelievable. So it's nice to see new fans and everything starting to get into racing, and then somebody that's been dedicated to yourself finally getting to do it.
Yeah,
It's hard going in from nothing for sure, but it's fun.
it's definitely it's not for the faint of heart, man. There's a lot of stuff that'll scare you away from it, and I will tell people, and I have continued to tell people, as someone who didn't have a foot in the door, there is a way to open that door for yourself. And if it just takes, hard work, dedication, getting wildly creative and just putting yourself out there and being willing to talk to people, man. But it's God, has it been worth it, dude? I mean, I was I was so slow in that car the first time I drove it, but oh my God, did I feel like I was hauling ass and I was having the time of my life. It was so much fun.
Yeah, yeah, man, it's crazy how much faster you feel like you're going.
Right.
I mean, you think it's nothing, you're like, oh man, we're cruising, we're doing great, and you get out, and you're like, wow, that's not anywhere close to what I was looking at. But you don't have nothing to really gauge yourself off of, or anybody to gauge yourself off of. So it's a little bit of adjustment, but man, once you get the routine things, it just starts clicking, everything starts moving fast, and then next thing you know, you don't even think twice of what happened the first time you did drive.
Right. I knew I was slow too. Like consciously, I knew I was slow because I didn't even open that thing up to full throttle until down the back straightaway on the last lap. Like I was just trying to figure out, how to pitch the car, how to, trying to catch the car and like learning. But I knew I went
Nice.
slow. But then you watch the video, like you said, and you're just like, oh my God, that was
Yeah,
atrocious.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's kind of funny. I'll go back to the first time I got to drive one on track. I moved them around and stuff my whole life. I mean, my dad's had modifieds for my whole life. But I was about 7 or 8. I think actually I was 8, and my dad had an open modified USR, or back then it was a USA modified, but pretty much a USRA modified. And we went to our local track out there, and I begged him to drive the cars for years. And he wouldn't never really let me do it. He's trying to make me work on the car more and everything, and get me to learn the car. And he won Winter Nationals, and I told him, I said, hey, why don't you let me like take the winning car out on the track? And I didn't think he was going to be serious and let me do it, but he's like, okay. And then I was like, oh, okay. So I had like the foam mud plugs and a foam book underneath me, and I had another foam mud plug behind me. I strapped myself down, and I thought I was flying. But 8 years old driving an open modified, I mean that's crazy. I mean you're looking 600-700 horsepower for like an 8-year-old kid. But my dad had a lot of trust in me, and there wasn't much stuff to hit at this track we was at, so that made it a little bit better. But yeah, I can only imagine, growing up in it. Oh, I've been around it my whole life, and it's second nature. But somebody that's not had a chance to really be in the middle of it and grow up in as a little bitty kid, and getting to be around cars and stuff, I can only imagine what the feeling was like, man.
Yeah, dude, you would have. I mean, holy shit, 8 years old driving an open. Now, that's a lot of car. That is a lot of car to give an 8 year old. But that's awesome. He's probably
Yeah,
still riding the high. He won the Winter Nationals. He's like, I don't care, dude. Do whatever you want. Take that thing out.
yeah,
But yeah, dude, you would have thought that I just won the Daytona 500 when I got back to the pits after getting off the track, because like I was fist pumping, yelling, screaming, like I was just like that adrenaline high. Dude. I was fired up. But um,
yeah. You got your first bug.
oh yeah, and like I was telling you a little bit before recording, dude, I'm just like a crack addict with it now, dude. I am hooked and hooked bad. Like I thought it was bad before, and then you get a drive, and
Oh, it's
it's
worse.
worse. It's so much worse. It's
Yeah.
so like I'm just fiending to get back to the track and go work on cars, and just a lot of fun. But why don't we let's back up a little bit.
Sure.
Kind of tell us a little bit about, who you are, what you race. Let's kind of back up to the beginning here and, what you do for work. And yeah, kind of where you're from. Let's kind of give me a little brief overview of yourself.
So, I'm from Moore, Oklahoma. I grew up around here my whole life. 25 years old. Started racing 13 years ago. It's kind of crazy to think 25 years old and get to do that, but my first official season was in 2013, actually on my birthday. So it worked out for the best that year. I had a lot of fun doing it. I've been around racing my whole life. Like I said a minute ago, my dad's had modifieds since I was a little kid. Um, actually, even won my first race before I was even born. My mom ran a powder puff while she was pregnant with me. Ended up winning the powder puff. So
That is
it's
awesome.
been kind of my dedication. That's what I've loved to do. It's always been part of me. Everybody knowing me at school as a racing kid. Um, but when I first got born, my dad won championship that year. My first race was 2 weeks old, so I mean it was ingrained in me, just from the start. I loved it. I was always uh, fueled off of it a lot. It just got me through the week of everything. And uh, when I was 5, I ended up actually having cancer, so it kind of sidelined some of that. My dad's racing some. Uh, Found out I had neuroblastoma actually Christmas Eve. But after I went in, they went to test it, and they figured out it killed itself somehow after they got in there. So they called me the Christmas miracle of the hospital that night. So I I had a lot of support, all the racers and like us, or uh, really cared for my dad or anything, that supported us. And it meant a lot to see the racing family, that when something happens like that, they can really come together and make a difference.
Man.
So, but I've ended up being cancer. That same year, I started playing baseball. Um, then I went to play football. I was a center for my whole football career, all through high school, and ended up racing through football and racing. So that was a struggle through high school. uh, Being a 4 year letter, but they expect you to be there every week. And sometimes I had some races and I had to figure out which one was more important. But, as I got a little older, racing still it was the one that I picked over everything in between baseball, football, hunting, fishing, whatever. Um, Probably one of the most expensive ones I could have picked, but had a lot of fun through the years doing it, and seeing a lot of nice people, and uh, really means a lot. So anyway, so we went after I got into high school. We started around 13 with a eco, and then we stayed around eco till I got about 16, 17 in high school. Ended up winning the Winter Nationals at Southern Oklahoma Speedway. And then the next year, we decided we were going to go to Sport Mod, the Southern Sport Mod for IMCA. Um, I ran that for about 5 or 6 years and ended up winning a championship in 22. Uh, so after we won the championship in 22, we decided it was probably about time to move up to modified. And I ran the modified the last 3 years. Had a lot of fun in it and done real well. Been top 5 car about every time I go out. Just Can't sneak off that win yet. That's one problem about it. But no, it's around the corner. Just man, it's a grind. When you get into IMCA modified class, man, it's just total different beast, and everybody's good and everybody's real competitive. Which every class I've raced in has been like that. But um, it's just a different kind of good when you get to modified.
Sure.
So that's kind of where we're at this point. We're just hanging out in the IMCA modified world.
Yeah, it's not a bad place to hang out, man. I want to back up a little bit and ask a little bit more about your childhood cancer stuff. So the neuroblastoma you said. So what is that exactly? Like what kind of
So
cancer is that? What is that?
the best way I can explain it, I mean, with me being five, I mean, I didn't know much about it, but I'll kind of back up to what got my mom and dad figuring out what's kind of going on. I'd get in these coughing fits, and I would couldn't get myself to calm down enough, and my couldn't breathe. My lungs was hurt kind of, and I couldn't get where I could breathe anything. I could run just across the yard, and I'd run out of breath and start coughing, and I'd get in these coughing fits where I throw up and get dehydrated real easy. And then my mom ended up got one of these coughing fits. She's like, all right, look, I got to take you in the hospital. Something's wrong. And so she took me to the Moore Hospital. They did an X-ray on me. Found out there was a mass underneath my lung, and they didn't know exactly what it was, but they knew it was something not normal. They took me to the Cancer Foundation or OU Cancer Hospital for Kids in Oklahoma City. Um, End up going, well, wasn't Jimmy Everest then, but now it's the Jimmy Everest Center. Um, we went through there. So when they went in to test it to see what it was and kind of get an idea of what they were dealing with, they had to cut me from basically underneath my armpit all the way to the middle of my back. They call it the shark bite. Um, and they broke two ribs on my right side. And then to get in there, once they got in there, they moved all my stuff out of the way. But they way neuroblastoma works, spine. Um, but the I guess the technical name for what the cell was blastoma, the way I understand it. But it came off my spine like a vine, and then kind of grew to a mass underneath my lung, and it was crushing my lung and my bronchial tube where I couldn't breathe. So that's why I couldn't catch up my breath and everything. There's a lot of times that some of the doctors that we talked to always thought it was asthma, and they was treating me for asthma, and that was kind of right the way they was thinking, but they would never really do an X-ray, so they never knew what was going on. But so after they went in, they took all of that they could. They got as close as my spine they could without damaging a lot, my nerves and stuff. I got a little bit even on my side where they cut me. Got a little bit where I can't feel like around my side. They put a port in me, thinking that I might need to do some chemo and radiation stuff, but didn't end up. Luckily, didn't have to do any of that because of the cancer cell burning itself out. Um, I still have some on my spine. Got some two clips from like the bottom and top, and they left it in the middle so they can measure it, make sure it's not getting any bigger or anything. It's still on my spine, but it hasn't moved or grown. I went for MRIs for probably 8 years, um, checking in on it quite a bit and everything. It hasn't grown, so they said, look, if you have any problems, feel anything weird or anything, just come back and we'll check it out, see what's going on. But to this point, we haven't had no problems, thankfully. And with all that happening, I really I dedicate a lot of my time to my foundation. Uh, Southern Oklahoma Speedway just so happens does a cancer race for that foundation. We started the cancer race after the track owner's dad died of cancer, and it kind of works out from there. It was weird because the first time they had the hospital there, they said, "Oh yeah, they got a hospital we're donating to and everything, and all the drivers donate our time. We bring our doors and stuff up there and sell them and sign them." And I like last year, I sold my racing suit and had all the kids sign it and sold it, and everything we make 100% goes to the foundation. Well, it just so happened the both the specialists, it's a husband and wife that worked on me. they was there for the first cancer race, and I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, I heard you're a specialist at OU," and she said, "Yeah." She's like, "Do we know you? We look kind of familiar." And at this point, I'm probably 17, 16, 17, and she hadn't seen me since I was a little kid, 8 years old. And said, "Yeah, you do." I said, "I'm Zack Olivia. I was the one that had neuroblastoma." And she's like, "Oh my God, honey, look, it's the kid that we helped out. It's him and his family. Where's your mom and dad at? Where's Alan and Lee at?" And it was just nice to know that they still remembered all that and how much they it impacted their life, even just mine, doing what I did, and it's all on them. It was all what they did, and it's just grateful to know that there's people out there to do that. So makes me really want to give back, and I tried my best. I mentor some kids like, off and on. Of course, some parents don't really want that, but for the most part, they like me talking to them, hanging out with them, stuff like that. I had one that I was really close with. Um, just so happened his dad racing against my dad, and he was from Texas. He had leukemia, and I worked him all the way through his leukemia. The same year he beat his leukemia, he was in a race car a couple weeks later, and he was racing me in eco, and so we was racing each other. Uh, both beat cancer, both racing each other, and having a good career. And he's still racing this day in open modified, and so he does the same thing that I do. Mentor. We mentor kids when we can, and we got busy lives, but there's nothing that you can't do to make sure you can make a kid's day. So that's one thing that I give out to make sure I try to do. I didn't stop with Ryan. I had another kid named Jace. The year I won a championship, he passed away. Um, sorry, he passed away. He was really one of them kids, man. He couldn't miss him. He was real special. I mean, everybody knew him, and he wasn't a stranger to anybody. He's 8 years old, and you thought he was talking to a adult. He was that kind of kid, and uh, I remember one thing that he told me. Uh, I was probably 5 weeks in, or maybe 2, 3 weeks into the season, and he says that because he had my number and everything. He called me and I texted him, and we played games with him and stuff online. And we was tied in with some of the OU players, and Ethan Downs was one of them. We all kind of kept up with him, and he said, "Zach, I told Ethan that I wanted to see him, do some things on the field before something happened. But he said I don't know why, but I feel like something's gonna happen, and I want to see you win before I pass." And I was like, "Well, Jason, don't think of that. He's 8 years old telling me this. I don't. I mean, what are you gonna say to an 8-year-old says that? It's hard to even fathom what would you would say." And I was like, "Oh no, man, you'll be all right. It's okay." And it seemed to be like he was gonna get better for a little while. But his grandparents said he's getting worse. I just don't we don't know how it's going to work out yet. And so anyway, I made him my co-driver at that point. I put a sticker inside my car that said Jace Ballenbach co-driver for the 99Z. I was driving for another gentleman at the time, and he told me that on that Friday. I go down there on Saturday, um, end up winning, and Sunday morning his mom calls me and tells me he passed. So it was pretty crazy. It was hard to really do that, especially as good as a kid he was, and always was trying to make everybody laugh, make everybody have fun. His mom and dad and his grandma and everybody worked a lot, and he just pull him aside. Look, relax. You need to sit down, play a game with me, play this. Just trying to keep him off of all the stuff that we have to deal on daily. Just he was good about that and that. Um, but yeah, we so that's my cancer story is started with me, but it's ending with the kids and the foundation. Man, I can't thank everything of them all enough for doing this stuff that they do. And if it wasn't for doctors and it wouldn't be I wouldn't be here. So I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, man, that's Yeah, that's a lot, man. I don't. I mean, that's a the the cancer stories and stuff like that. They hold really close to me because my wife actually. For people who don't know, people who do know, Taylor and I will know this, but my wife had pancreatic cancer when she was 12, I believe, um, and they found it by accident. Uh, the
Right.
the radiologist messed up when they were doing an MRI for some other stuff she had going on, and they actually went too high and they caught the very bottom lobe of a tumor that she had on her pancreas. Um,
Hmm.
well, she ended up getting like an 18-hour surgery. It's called a Whipple. She was like a national or a global case study for years after this. She might still be. I'm not sure. But they did like this 18-hour surgery where they had to like reroute her digestive system and like take part of her pancreas and cut part of this tumor out, and she still has part of it. And I think it was the same thing as you, where for like 8 years, and this was, I met her just after, because this was like a 4 year deal that she was going through all this, living in the hospital and, touch and go for a while and stuff would get infected. It was a whole mess. But um,
Right.
I met her, I think 2 years after all this kind of ended. But yeah, she had to go get checkups for like the first 3 or 4 years we were together, and luckily I think she's now 12 years. I think we just celebrated 12 years tumor free, and everything is good there. So
Good.
that the cancer stuff, the childhood cancer stuff, definitely holds something near and dear to me. And I mean, it's a damn simulator, but I plan to carry it through my actual racing career, where I'll always put, it's a purple, the pancreatic cancer ribbon is purple, and I'll always put a big,
Yeah.
a purple ribbon on any car that I race in iRacing or anything like that, just as like a little tribute and a tip of the hat to my wife, and to really anybody who's struggling with that. And I think that that's really cool that you have a foundation and the track supports the foundation. And I mean, what are the odds that the people who performed, the doctors that performed your procedure, were there? And that, I mean, that's an act
Yeah.
of, that's an act
Yeah.
of God, and that's destiny right there. I don't know what else is. And then
Yeah. It was
um
crazy.
and then the heartbreaking but heartwarming story of the kid that you were helping out, man. I mean, like, God, that's heavy, dude. So
Yeah.
I hope to have the fraction of an impact that you have had, and I know for a fact that you've had on these kids' lives, and that you've been able to give back and give them that escape from that, with knowing what that's like, seeing it from, I didn't go through it, obviously I didn't live through it, I wasn't there for those years, but seeing the or hearing the stories and seeing the pictures and all of that stuff, seeing
Yeah.
what they're going through, for you to be able to give them that escape, man, that is priceless, 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 priceless.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
man, good
It's
for you.
a lot of cool, really cool deal.
No, good for you, man.
Oh,
I hope to try to do something similar, man. I really like that. That's a beautiful story, dude. That's a truly beautiful story. Um, well, let's switch gears back to racing here, if you will. So, what was the chassis that you first started racing in? So you started racing, you said 12 or 13. What was the very first
yeah.
chassis that you drove?
I went old school. We had a Dirt Works. We had a
Dirt
Southern Sport
Works.
Mod Dirt Works.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a old Dirt Works chassis. That was actually one of my dad's buddy's son's cars. He bought it brand new. Um, he had a lot of wins on it. He was one of them guys. He could do anything he wanted to do, and he's good at it.
Sure.
Baseball, football, golf. I mean, everything. And he got in a car, and he was instantly fast in it.
Sure.
Um, got bored of it real quick. Just had a lot of fun. Just wasn't as much fun as he wanted to do. He didn't like staying up late and working on cars and stuff, which not everybody does. It's a lot of dedication. So he decided he wanted to take a break for a while and sold the car. Got it to another friend of my dad's, and then ended up going to my dad, and I ended up with it. So the Dirt Works car was the totem pole of everything for me.
Sure.
I still think I know where that car is at this point.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, through all these different classes that you've raced in, I believe you listed off four of them, the three to four classes that you've raced in. What class or what style of racing, I guess maybe is the better way to phrase it, did you learn the most in? Like, what helped you learn the most, or what was your favorite? and why do you think that you learned the most in any certain class, or maybe you haven't had just one and it's all of them combined?
So, man, all of them have taught me something. You know, when I started racing eco and that dirt works, man, it taught me first things first. You need to make a smooth lap. You need to be able to hold the line and just make sure you keep your car clean. That was the main goals. And kind of funny that it works out that way. But the first race I ever raced in eco, we were supposed to go to Ardmore, end up colding out. It was too cold, so they canceled. So we went to Meeker down the road, and the track that it was there originally, I won on my first race out in the eco. Never even thought about it. I mean, of course there wasn't bunches of cars, but I think there was about 8 or 10 of us, and I still had to race for it. It's not like I just gave it to him or anything. But it was kind of neat because my dad won his first race there, so I got to share that little bit of memory with him. But Ardmore is when I started learning how to really be removed through traffic and be smooth and hold my line, find a line, know when to go to a line when a car cuts you off. Eco was real a good beginner learning class because everybody at that point was all a learning beginner. So we all grew together, kind of, and we had about 4 or 5 of us, is about the same age, and we're all still pretty good friends to this day. And we all race each other again. We kind of spread out for a little while, but we're all back in modified again. So, but we leaned on each other, saying, "Man, how'd you get through the corner when your car was doing this, or what was you doing different when your car was doing that?" Just kind of leaned on each other a little bit. So it was a lot of support in that little group where we had with Eco. And then as I got to sport mod, I started learning the fact of not really the basics of how to hold the line. It's more like, okay, I'm going from, I'm gonna try to hit a spot that's tractor tire wide. Now I'm hitting a spot that's about half of a tire wide, and try to be real persistent about where I'm gonna go and know where I'm gonna go, and looking up the track and seeing where I need to be and kind of watching people in front of me. And uh, that was where I kind of started thinking, okay, this is where, I mean, I've always wanted to win, but this is where it starts. This is where I need to learn to start being, real persistent of what I want to do. And then, as we went on, we've got some features wins in sport mod all over those years. We went into modified, and modified is where I felt like I got my most humbled. Um, Came in kind of cocky, oh yeah, I just won a championship, kind of kid, and I can do this. Which I got the confidence, but the first 2 nights I was humbled really quick. Those guys are no joke, We got guys that travel from Iowa to race us. We got people that race, William Gould down in southern Oklahoma. He's raced my dad for years. He races for a living. He's really good. We have a lot of different people that travel from a lot of different places that race us, and there's no telling who you're going to race in Ardmore every week. It's just random selection practically, and you never know. Tim Ward's going to come down here and race us. Normally, I try to get him come, but he's too busy racing late models and stuff now. But modified really humbled me, and it's really taught me to be patient. And it's going to be, you can have a rough couple weeks, rough couple months, rough year, but you can always change that in the future, and it'll definitely change your outcome and make you realize, it's not just going to come easy. It's not going to, you got to really push for it. So,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. No, that makes sense. So, what would be the best piece of advice that you could give someone like me, where I'm just getting into it, and I kind of like what you were saying, with picking a line, figuring out how to drive a line. But what is step one if you were to steer me in a direction, starting out? Where would you steer me first? How would you go about it if you could do it over
so
again?
the way that my dad taught me, I'm not telling you it's the right way, but it's the way I learned and the way I've been fairly successful, I would feel like. My dad told me We always started me at the back. Till I can could if I couldn't start at the back and go forward, passing cars, get to top 10, there was no reason for me to start in my spot originally wherever they wanted me at. You got to keep your nose clean. First things first, keep your nose clean and make sure you keep your car straight. Work on keeping their line where you want to be. Hold the line because say if you're getting laps or something, because I've been in that position a lot. Leader shows you the nose. If you, as long as you hold that same line and you're not real darty, they will get around you, regardless if you're in their racing line or not. They will get around you. That's the main thing that I had to learn quick because most people was a lot faster than me that I was racing for a while. I mean, I didn't race anything else besides sport mods, and then I went into ecos. So all the sport mod guys were the older modified guys and some stock car guys. So they was getting into this new class that was starting. So it was, there was a lot of really good guys in there, a lot of good talent. So I had to be really quick to learn to stay smooth, stay in a certain line. Um, Somehow I've turned it myself into a trail breaker. That's going to be a driver's luck deal. You're not gonna know what kind of driver you are for a couple years. There's a lot of people that try to be a trail breaker and they can't. Like my dad, he's not a trail breaker. He's never really been a good trail breaker. But he grew up on a different kind of track than I did. His was a fast, hammer down, big racetrack. Oklahoma City State Fairgrounds was a hammer down racetrack. Um, and he never, even when he raced on slick racetracks, he never really had to trail brake. He was real good about using the gear to slow him down. Um, but I couldn't race like him. I'm not really aggressive with my foot. I can trail brake, use the brake and the gas at the same time, and manipulate the car to do different things. And uh, it just depends on how you start yourself, which way you want to start going. Um, I've seen success both ways. I've seen success as heavy foot. I've seen success as a trail breaker. It just depends on what kind of fits your driving style. You're going to learn a lot of stuff the hard way. It's going to be the hard way. It's never going to change. But as you do that, you will get better. Just a matter of time. And keep your mind open to all the veterans. They're going to give you all kinds of crap and everything. It's not going to be peaches and roses forever. But I'm going to tell you now, the veterans, they will help you, and especially if you ask for their help. Keep your mind open to things. Start listening and listen to what they have to say is the main thing. They got a lot of knowledge. They're not where they're at because don't have the years behind them. So that's one thing that I learned a lot was from my dad and my dad's buddy Tony. I mean, they knew a lot of different things that taught me how to drive, and um, it's just a matter of time of listening and kind of just really focus on your craft. It's the main things.
Yeah, no, I think that's super solid and sound advice, man. I appreciate that. I'll definitely take that with me, and I hope anybody else does too. I mean, I think that's invaluable stuff to learn there. Um, well, talk to me a little bit. What's the future look like for you, man? What's the future plans? Do you want to stay in your IMCA stuff for the foreseeable future, long time? Do you have any big dreams and aspirations of moving into a different class or moving up or kind of where do you want to see the finish line for you when you can look back and this all said and done?
Well, long-term goal when I was a kid, I was always a Jeff Gordon fan. I was a real diehard Jeff Gordon fan. My dad hated it. He was a Dale Jr. or Dale Earnhardt, but I was always a Jeff Gordon fan, and I love Jeff Gordon to death. Went on to Chase Elliott, still a Chase Elliott fan. And I always thought I would race NASCAR. I mean, that was my goal, as any kid would that has anything to do with racing. They always think, okay, well, I can do that. I can get in NASCAR. I'd love to do it. I still have the passion to do it. I'm still part time with the NASCAR racing experience. I'm a spotter for them and a driver trainer. So when just say you go out and drive, I spot for you. I'm also working into being a driver, so I can get people rides in, so I can kind of get some asphalt experience. The cool thing is about that, I get to work with some market team spotters and stuff. Um, really trying to work into getting the ARCA, but man, when you get into that kind of stuff, it's a lot of money,
Yes, it
and
is.
I don't come up from a lot of money. I mean, I looked into it, and man, I wanted to go to Springfield, Missouri, and race the dirt. That was my goal this year, to try to race the dirt at ARCA in ARCA. And I probably could have, but I would have had to suffer my modified racing, and I wasn't sure if I was ready for that yet. But I was looking 8 to 10 grand just to get there and race. Now that's not tearing up anything. That's not really getting tires or anything like that. If you tear up the car, it's all on you. And their cars are very, very expensive when they get tore up. So wasn't really sure if I was ready for that yet. Um, but as far as long-term goal, I wanted to race NASCAR. But as a realistic goal, where I've set now, I want to race, IMCA Super Nationals. I've always wanted to race Boone. Boone's a big deal for a lot of people around here, as all over the country. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you've seen it and seen a lot of people go over there and everything. But Boone's a realistic goal, and that's probably one that will happen. Um, I wouldn't mind venturing up to USMTS, racing some USMTS, or even late model. If I got to USMTS or late model, like a Luke's Oil, something, I'd be fine with that. I'd be perfectly content. I felt like I made my life worth it. I've worked a lot hard enough and got to where I wanted to be. I always, like I said, I always wanted to be NASCAR, but I'd be perfectly content with doing NASCAR or racing with the World of Outlaws with like Ricky Thornton or something like that. But or ain't even going to Boone to race Tim Ward. The only reason I keep using them is because they're my buddies and I know they're gonna give me shit. But
Sure. No, that's
but
awesome, man. I did the same thing, right? I'm a diehard NASCAR fan. I mean, I got my Tyler Reddick flag sitting right here, but
yeah,
I did the same thing as you, right? Like my dream, like I always say I'm going to shoot for the stars and just hope to land on the moon, right? So I'm going to set a lofty goal, and if I come up short of it, then what I achieved is still pretty damn good, right? So it's kind of similar
yeah,
with
yeah,
you want to run NASCAR. I would love that too. Now, I did the same thing, and I was talking to a couple ARCA drivers when I first started looking into all this stuff, and I was like, man, my dream is to run a race at Kansas. It's 25 minutes from my
yeah.
house. That is my dream. I did the NASCAR driving experience at Kansas last year. That was a ton of fun, but it's just, it doesn't quite scratch the itch, right? Like you're on a rev limiter,
No,
it feels
no,
like you're on a Sunday afternoon drive doing 130. But
yeah,
I did the same, and I was looking into like, okay, how do I make that happen? And they're like, Van, it's really not as hard as you think it is. Like you could probably realistically do it next year. And I was like, what? No way. Like, yeah, it all takes money. And they're like, you got to go do the Daytona
yeah,
tests, and that's like 10 grand to go do the Daytona tests, and then from there, you
yeah,
got to get your intermediate track license. So then you got to go race a couple short tracks. Yeah, you're probably 8 to 10 grand a race to do the intermediate or to the short track stuff. And then you get to go to Kansas, and that's anywhere from like 10 to 110 grand. They're like, so realistically, for like 110 grand, you could do it next year. And I was just like, what? I don't have 110 grand,
yeah.
bro. I don't have 10 grand. What are you talking about?
Well, it's just crazy because they're like, "I'll just go get sponsors," and I'm like, "Yeah, I can't even get sponsors for my IMCA stuff, let alone." Which, yeah, it's funny that you just have national exposure. You just mentioned national to any sponsor, and they start perking up. You know, I had one that I could have got quite a bit of money out of. Um, wouldn't have been, what about one race? Probably worse. But I was like, look, I just don't feel right using you for this $10,000 to run in a car that's. I don't want to go there and run at the back. I
Yeah.
want to be able to go up there and beat the Gibbs cars. I don't want to be a back runner. And I went to the Kansas race um, last year. Yeah, this last year I went there for the ARCA race. My old owner was racing in it. I mentioned no names, but he's racing in there now. owns his own team, but he was racing for Andy Hullenberg, and he wanted me to come out and meet him and everything because he knew I wanted to race ARCA. Um, and I went up there and met Andy and everything, so he's like, "Man, Zach, what you're a nice kid and everything. You seem like you got a good talent and everything, but what are you looking to do?" I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm coming here to race." So, "Oh, well, what are you looking to do though?" I was like, "See that Gibbs car down there?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I want him to not ever make Victory Lane again." And he's like, "Well, I don't know if you can do that." And I was like, "Well, what are we looking?" And he's like, "Man, you're looking $30,000 or more every race." I was like, "Really?" He said, "That's a $2.5 million car." I mean, it's just you're looking high. I mean, you're looking at people that families had money forever. So okay, so I kind of that's where it really started slowing down for me. I was like, man, I just don't know if I can get it done. I know if I had some backing, if I had a couple good sponsors, I might be able to run a race or two. I still would love to jump into the dirt car or race it in the dirt race. I feel like I'd be really competitive since that's where I come from. I mean, that's my grassroots, and I feel like that'd be real good for me, and I could be competitive. Um, but as far as goes, man, it's kind of a toss up. I don't know whether I'd be good or bad. I haven't ever tried it, so I don't
Sure.
feel like there's any car I couldn't drive. I just don't know how competitive I would be at that point. So
Yeah, no, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And it's unfortunate. I've said it a couple times on this podcast, but it's just unfortunate, man. Can you just imagine the talent level and the improvement on racing? I'm not taking away from anybody who's in the national series, like at all. Like the you have to still be good to run up there.
no,
But the amount of talent that would come just pouring out of the seams and how much better I think the sport would be if it didn't come down to strictly money. Because think about how many
yeah,
incredibly talented people there are just the local tracks around the country. I mean, if it was like football where you can get discovered at a anywhere in the country, you could go to a two-way high school in the middle of Oklahoma, and if you're good enough, they're gonna find you and they're gonna get you suited up in pads, and you're gonna
yeah,
go play at LSU or OU or whatever. And then you can get to the league. But in
right,
racing, it's not like that. It don't matter how you could be Kyle freaking Larson, but if you can't secure the money, then you can't run it. I mean, it's just
yeah,
flat out can't do it. I don't care how good you are. What are you bringing to the table? And it's unfortunate that it's like that. And I get it.
yeah,
It's an expensive sport, and it has to get paid for. I understand that part of it, but it's just unfortunate that that's what it boils down to.
yeah. I mean, I got a buddy of mine that well, you might know a little bit of him. You said you sim race.
Mm-hmm.
So Chad Wheeler, WR1,
I don't actually. That name does not ring a
WR1.
bell, unfortunately.
Well, he's a good friend of mine. His dad owns Wheeler Metals in Muskogee down here, about an hour and a half from me. But he builds simulators and stuff. But when he was a kid, or I say kid, he was probably around my age. Him and his brother both raced, and Chad got the chance to go race trucks, and um, I know a couple other people had the same exact stories. They go in there, they had the ride secured, and they had another kid come in there to lower laps. Didn't know nothing about their cars, didn't do nothing to their cars, let the crew do everything, and Daddy had more money, and they got the ride. It's just very unfortunate for people that have really good talent, and they don't they don't really have an idea what it really means to the owner. They don't look at that. They just the owner's only looking for money for because they don't want to spend their own. They want to be on top and they want to have the best people, but they want you to spend as much money as you got before they get started digging in theirs.
Right.
And that's with any racing. That's not just asphalt. That's starting to kind of dwindle down to dirt racing. USMTS, that takes a lot of money, and a lot of money. I mean, you got to think of all the people like. I mean, I was with Rodney Sanders the other day down here in Tulsa when he raced in Tulsa, and I've known Rodney for a long time. I actually got a picture of him when I was a little bitty kid in his car when he first started. But he was telling me and my dad, man, these motors are expensive, and we was talking to his guy. They're 30, 40 grand. I mean, for a modified motor, it's like, oh, man, it's just crazy how much. And if it wasn't for people helping Rodney out, he couldn't do it. You
Right.
know, it's just that you need to find the right people at the right time, and they will come. It's just a matter of finding them, and
Right.
when you find them, is when it's worth it. When it really benefits you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, brother, that kind of covers all of my topics. But what I'd like to do towards the end of these is kind of open the floor to you. Anything that you haven't had a chance to talk about, kind of naturally, or sponsors or social media or merchandise, kind of anything like that. I kind of like just to open the floor to you. So, sir, by all means, the floor is yours.
So I got a couple questions for you.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah,
want to turn the tables a little bit.
yeah. Let's do it, man.
I know I didn't see anybody do that yet.
No, I like it. Let's
Uh,
do it.
so what uh what are you excited about the most about starting the race? What
Oh,
makes you most exciting? What's the drive? What are you expecting for your first season?
man, that's a really good question. Um, so for me, what I am the most driven to right now, I'm a very goal oriented person, right? So I have now set my mind to I have this passion and I am going to pursue it and I'm going to make it happen. And it didn't start this way, but it's kind of migrated this way of where I now want to show anybody who is just like me. Because, dude, I've been kicking the tires on thinking about going racing for like 3 or 4 years now. But I always got kind of scared out of it by the money side of it. I'm like, Dad, I just don't know what I'm doing. I don't have the engine experience. I don't know anything about setting up race cars. I don't know anything about this. But I wanna prove to myself that I can do it. That's the biggest thing, and obviously it's a big passion of mine, and I love this sport, and I want to contribute to it in any way I can, anything like that. But what it's kind of moved to for me now is I want to appeal and speak to the people that are just like me, right? And that's what I think is great about this podcast that I kind of stumbled into and tripped my way into, is we can sit here and listen to all different walks of life and learn how they went about it. And you don't have to take everything from just your story or just anybody else's story
Yeah,
who's been on here. You can take little bits and pieces of it and apply it to what you're doing. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. So I want to show anybody who has this passion and this desire to go drive that you can do it if you set your mind to it and you get creative enough. Like for me, I literally looked up the point standings for the local track near me and I just started sending Facebook messages just saying, dude, I will clean your tools. I will scrape mud off the car. I don't care. Just I want to get involved. And luckily, I had, Adam was nice enough to let me come aboard and help him out, and that's been invaluable. But just showing that's really the first season for me. Obviously, I want to learn and yeah, I could say, I want to chase rookie of the year and stuff, but dude, just the first time that I roll off from staging in my first official race and having it come full circle, I think is going to be, I can't say the biggest reward in my life because I have two kids and I have a wife and a great life here, but like that fulfillment,
right, right.
I am chasing that fulfillment level. And then once I get to that point, it's not going to be good enough and I'm going to start chasing something else and something else. But to answer your question in a really long and roundabout way, man, I just want to get on track and I want to prove to myself and prove to anybody who's told me don't do it or why are you getting into this, and prove to people that you can do
Yeah,
this. And I did it. I made my way through here with a lot of help, but I did this. That's my big thing.
yeah, sure. So, kind of feeding off of that, I know you said you're starting an EMOD.
Hmm.
What's some kind of plans that you've maybe in the next, we'll just say the next 5 years, what's kind of your plans of how you're going to race? You going to stay with EMOD for a while? You going to try to move up? You maybe change into something different? You just want to see how things feel out, maybe.
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer right now. I mean, I could give you, my aspirations, goals, and dreams. I'd love to move up, but I talk shit to Adam all the time, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna ride your coattails, but eventually I'm gonna come try to beat you. So, I want to run an
Right.
EMODs and learn and develop racecraft and get comfortable and learn about motors and cars and see what an actual season costs and find some good partners to partner with and to take off on this racing adventure. But I'd, man, over the next 5 years, I'd say run E-Mod for a couple of seasons, maybe try to chase for like a track championship in E-Mods, maybe try to race a couple of different local tracks around. Now, that
Sure.
question can also spill over into everything else. So obviously I started this t-shirt company to try to help fundraising, and I did it with one of my a co-owner of the company. We do a couple other things with some of the sim racing stuff, but we started this company to kind of help raise funds. So maybe hopefully in 5 years this takes off a lot better and it opens up a lot more funds, or maybe I can move into doing this a lot more, or with this social media stuff. Like, that was something I never even dreamed would happen, to where people would give any sort of a care in the world of what I have going on. And luckily it's growing now, so maybe this takes off a lot more, and I can supplement some more income with this type
Right.
of stuff. For man, I don't know, dude. The next 5 years, there's so many different ways that it could shake out for me. But it kind of feels like, when you ask me about 5 years, it feels like I have a fistful of spaghetti and I'm gonna throw it at the wall, and I'll just kind of see what sticks up there at this point.
Which one goes, which one stays? Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
that's
I
kind of where it's
mean,
at.
so the 5 years, I was gonna say 10 years before a long term, but you know, I'm not. I'm just 10 years down the road. I'm from 13 to now. I'm about 12, 13 years in. I think it's my 12th year. So I'm just past that limit. And back then, I wish that I was just praying that I drove a modified. I didn't care what kind of modified. I just want to drive modified.
Yeah.
Uh, but now that I'm to that point, I'm looking ahead of time now. I want to race US MTS. I want to race Lucas Oil late models.
Yeah.
I want to, go forward. I want to be racing with Jonathan Davenport and Rick Thornton on, on a Wednesday night. Things like that. But um, just it kind of depends how life throws at you. Life throws at you in different directions.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen. I mean, this year I've probably raced less than I ever have, just because of the schedule at Ardmore. Our rain's been not very good. We've had a lot of rain for everywhere. Um, but money, man, money's hard. When you don't have a bunch of big time sponsors behind you, you're going to struggle some. You're going to really second guess yourself. Um, and I say this. I told one of my buddies he just bought a car. He's drive a Southern Sport mod, never drove. His whole family's been around racing his whole life. I've tried to beg him not to get one, just because I know the money that's put into it, how much money it takes, and I know what he wants to do, and I don't want him being upset if he can't get there. But without him showing up, or you showing up, or me showing up on a Saturday night, there's no cars for any fans to watch.
Right.
Racing will die, and without the fans showing up, there will be no drivers, because there ain't no reason, there ain't no way to supply us to come out. So
Right.
it'll die that way.
Right.
So it's just different scenarios can happen different ways, you know. Um, but yeah, I figured that's probably the best question, or best way to answer that one. That one was a little bit too tough, I think, right now.
Yeah.
I'll wait about 6 months. We'll wait about 5, 6 months, and we'll talk about it again.
Yeah, we'll have to circle back on that when we eventually are able to actually go
Yeah.
racing. I'll be like, dude, I'm just trying to figure out how to hold the wheel at this point. If I can figure that out, then we'll be good to go. Dude, it's
So
yeah, it's crazy. Go ahead.
what got you into racing, man?
So actually, my dad, I remember some of my earliest memories are racing my NASCARs. I was a big Ward Burton fan back in the day, just because of the 22 cat car. My dad, and I'm in
Yeah.
construction now. My dad was in construction. That's kind of my family's grown up in construction, but I love the 22 Caterpillar. Big Ward Burton fan. Um, Unfortunately, we didn't like Jeff Gordon, so I'm sorry to break your heart on that one. But
That's all right.
uh,
To each your own.
we
There's always a good rivalry somewhere.
I had these like 8 to 10 little die-cast NASCARs that I took duct tape and I made a start finish line, and I had this track that I'd run around the table and we'd watch NASCAR, and dude, those are some of my fondest memories. Um, my dad's kind of gotten away from it more. He actually, the only way he got back into NASCAR is because I got so back into NASCAR and I started talking to him about it and kind of getting his interest peaked into it like
Right.
that. But I've always had an interest in it. I got away from it for a long time because I played baseball, and then I played baseball through college and all that stuff. So I kind of got away from it for a while. But once I was out of school, I remember I just flipped a race on one day. I don't know why. I just saw NASCAR was on. I was like, I haven't watched this shit in like 10 years. So I flipped NASCAR back on, and I fell right back into it. And I guess that was 4 years ago now. And then after I went to my first NASCAR race, three years ago, I think it was 3 years ago. My first race, maybe it was 2 years ago. My first race was the closest finish in NASCAR history at Kansas Speedway, where Larson and Buescher were beating doors down the front straightaway. That was my first. That was my
I was,
first NASCAR race.
I was there.
Yeah, that was my first
I
NASCAR
was
race I've
there
ever
and I
been to.
left early.
Yep.
Yeah, I was so upset because me and my girlfriend both was there. We watched the whole race, and it just started getting late, and
Mhm.
we're going to Oklahoma City. That's a long drive.
Right.
I said, well, listen, I got it on my phone. We'll listen to the radios and stuff. We'll put it on my truck, and we can watch it on their radio. So we'll just watch it on the way home. I figured it'd be like every other race. It'd be a normal
Yeah.
finish and nothing happened. We got just out of Kansas and we seen it. We're like, are you kidding me? It was the craziest thing in the world, you know. But yeah, I remember that day fondly. That's
Oh
cool.
yeah.
That's cool that that was your first race. That's something else that you can match it up to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I'll never forget that. But
So, yeah.
seeing those cars go
So
around the
you got
track the
any?
first time and hearing them and just everything about it, I was like, I gotta do this. I have to do this, and that's where this kind of all started.
Dude, it's just unbelievable how you sitting at a even it's just dirt track on Saturday night,
Mm-hmm.
sitting next to the stand and the stands and the cars go by. It's I get a burst of energy. Like I can feel the motor. I can see everything. I can smell everything. I sit in my car and I'll close my eyes and sit there. Like when I'm real anxious, if I'm in a big race or winter nationals or something like that, or even when I won my championship, I was real nervous and I'd have to sit there, let the car run, close my eyes, and I can slow the motor down with my mind. I can just hear every cylinder just. I mean, it's just slows me down, calms me down, make sure I'm breathing, and it's just crazy how much a machine like that can do that to a person. You know, um, my girlfriend messes with me all the time, and it's probably something that's way off crazy. But like when I'm real upset about something, or I'm anxious or worried or something like that, I'll come in the trailer. I'll just sit in the trailer, close the doors, just sit there, close my eyes, smell the smells, smell the methanol, smell the dirt and the grease and the exhaust of everything. Just getting all the smells of it, and it calms me down so much. Um, it's one of them things that I don't. Not everybody does. Not everybody does. Not everybody has feelings like that. Honestly, I feel like I'm kind of weird for it. But you know, it's just one of them things that's one of my common spots. When I get in a car, that's my home. That's where I'm meant to be. I feel like, and I'm sure it feels that same way with you. Now that you've done it, man, that is going to be your home, your place. You're going to love it.
Yeah, it's really hard, and I'm sure you understand this. It's hard to explain, and again, I'm very new to this, and I'm not trying to interject myself in completely into this community or anything like that, and saying that I don't know, but like to try to explain that feeling and that passion, because not everybody who goes to the racetrack gets that, that feeling of like, oh my god, dude, I need this. Like not everybody feels that. Not everybody thinks race cars are as cool as I think race cars are, that you think race cars are. Not everybody
Yeah.
needs that or like understands that passion that you feel towards a car driving in a circle around a track, right? And
Right.
that's what I've
Right.
had the hardest time trying to understand is not everybody likes this as much as I do. Not everybody thinks this is cool as I do. Not everybody
No.
just is consumed, and I mean
Yeah.
consumed with racing. Like it's what my mind is just churning on it all day, every day. It's on my phone when I get home. It's on it's that's all of my
Did you
TikTok
just?
and Facebook feed. It's just everything is racing, and but it's still not enough. Like,
Yeah. It's just like I mean you is just alike. Just alike. I mean, everything I've had from bed sheets when I was a kid to, I mean, any kind of late model diecast to, I have every single NASCAR game to this time, from like a PS1 to now. I got every single one of them. I mean, that's just something that I was so infatuated with everything NASCAR, everything dirt racing, and when I got in it, it just thrived me more.
Yeah.
So I have so much, everything I have to do with anything. I mean, I'm a service advisor at Ford. Every day I tell at least 10 people. They're like, "Oh, what do you do on the weekends?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a dirt racer. I race every weekend." And they're like, "Oh, that's so cool." And I mean, I don't do it for, to get a get out of them. I just, it just slips out. Everything
Mm-hmm.
that I have something to do, I compare it with racing.
Yep.
Some people it's annoying too, but it's just the way my mind works.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm built into the sport, not built for it, not around it just because. I feel like I'm built for the sport and to be in the middle of it all the time, 100% of the time.
I feel like I'm. It's hard to say because I haven't. I wasn't born into it. I wasn't ingrained into it. But I don't know, man. It's just like this passion and this feeling. I haven't felt anything like that in a long, 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 long time. Maybe it just took me until I was 20, 27 years old to figure out what I was, where I was supposed to be in the world. Maybe, baseball was fun and it helped me through
Well,
life and all that. But I think I
yeah,
found what I
yeah.
need to do.
Well, racing it's weird because you go to a dirt track and just say it's your first weekend out, you have problems, say your buddies ain't there. There's at least three or four drivers there that will help you
Hmm.
somehow. Now, you may have to ask them. Some people may walk up to you and just help you, but there's not a person at the racetrack that don't have somebody that their racing family.
Right.
I mean, and it's not everybody. You know, I had a guy that we really wasn't friends. We beat and banged quite a bit on the track, especially in this mod. Since I drove modified, him and my dad's had some stuff go on. Not really that I dislike him. I just didn't really like racing him. But he had some health issues this year, and I tried to help out his family. Gave him some cars and stuff and everything, and help his family food and stuff like that. And everybody's like, "Since when do y'all friends?" It's like we're not. I said, but he's still part of my racing family.
Right.
I was like, I don't want nobody in my racing family to be suffering when somebody else can help them. I
Right.
mean, we're still family regardless. If he's not here every week, that's one less car I get to race every week. So, you know, it's just part of taking care of the family, taking care of your passion, taking care of now that you got a car, you are part of racing. You are even when you wasn't, when you was a kid. Man, that was what you wanted to do. I could just tell by the way you're talking about it. That's just something that you've always wanted to do.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of good drivers come out of that. And there's a lot of people that has been passionate as me and you and hasn't had as much success, but they're still ingrained in it and they're making a big difference because they're helping people get to that point that they wanted to go.
Hmm.
They're being their coach through everything. They're being the pit crew. They're being, announcer. They're being flagman. They're being officials. It's just there's so many other things that you can be involved, and there's a lot of people that want to do it, but never get the chance of what me and you get to do.
Sure.
You know, so
Yeah. No, it's
that's
absolutely.
a big thing to think about. So,
No, absolutely, man. Well, what about you got where can we find you? Any social media stuff or you got merchandise or anything like that or any big shout outs you need to give, anything like that?
first of all, was thank my sponsors. Raw Custom Coatings. They help me they get me to the track every week. Donco Plumbing, Plumbing Solutions, Allen's Automotive, which is my dad's shop. Big Boy Motorsports. He does all my racing stickers and everything. Western Flyer race cars. Ferrofact Fabrications. All these people that I got in here, man, they make a big deal for me and they help me a lot. They just do what they can. May not be a bunch, but it's more than enough for me. I'm glad that they do it because if they didn't do it, I wouldn't get to go race at all. Um, you know, uh, I have a lot of help for them, just little by little through the year. Mobile Mart, OKC, last year construction. I mean, I can just name them all. There's so many on there that I can't remember all of them that helped me. So first of all, I want to thank them. You know, my mom, dad, they helped me a lot, especially my dad. My sister, brother-in-law, my girlfriend, they're all good support. Actually, they're inside helping me make some of the fan appreciation stuff for this weekend. So, but all families, all hands on deck for that. And then as far as finding me, man, I'm been fairly slack on it this year just because I had a lot of stuff going on. Computer broke and everything, so now I'm a little down on the computer. But I have a YouTube channel. It's ORT Outdoors. Been posting a lot of racing stuff. Kind of started as a hunting channel. It didn't turn out to be a very good hunting channel, so we transitioned it to racing. But you know, we're working on it. Maybe we can do some little more hunting and stuff this winter, and uh, maybe one time we get a little bit of time, me and you both, I'll come up there and hang out with you in Kansas City, and we can do on both sides. We have a live going on both sides or something. It'd be kind of cool.
I'd love that, man. That'd be a really good time. That'd be a really good time. Um, well, man, Zach, dude, I can't appreciate you, for coming on here enough, dude. This has been a fantastic conversation, and I feel like this is, the start of a good friendship, man. I really enjoy sitting down and bullshitting with you, and I think that your perspective and
Me too.
the things you've been through in life and the impact that you've made and just your story start to finish up to this point, man, it's fantastic, and I think that it's commendable what you do, and I think that anything you set your mind to in the future and your future goals, I think, are 100% achievable. I mean, look at what you've done to this point. So, no, man, thank you. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for coming on and hanging out with us for a night.
Man, I appreciate you letting me do it. You know, I've only done a couple of these, and it's always nice to get especially somebody starting out new. I love helping them out and trying to help them grow to something where they can race with me door to door one day. So that's something big goal for me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, Zach, sir, have a fantastic rest of your night, and thank you again.
See you, bud.